Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ranking Member Peters, for having this hearing. And thank you, Mr. DeJoy, for your willingness to appear before our committee today. My time is short this morning, and because I've been told you won't be staying for a second round of questions, I'd appreciate brief responses. Mr. DeJoy, I sent you a letter last week detailing stories from Granite Staters about delays in their mail. And I will note a huge spike in calls to my office since mid-July about the Postal Service and delays. For so many of our service members, veterans, people who experience disabilities, and rural Americans, their local post office is their lifeline. And I'll note that the change in volume you are seeing doesn't change the need for timely delivery of the essential, necessary items that the American public relies on the post office for. For example, one Manchester couple fills prescriptions through their VA benefits, and they wrote, quote, "There has been a noticeable slowdown in mail delivery. Mail delays have caused me to ration my medication. I start cutting back on my dosage to half pills or skipping alternate days to make them last. Some of my pills are crucial. My cardiac and diabetic meds need to be on a strict protocol. Will you ensure that any further changes that you make to postal operations do not delay access to medications and other necessities, yes or no?"
Yes, Senator, and I look forward to working with you on legislation to help this type of service not reach into the future.
Well, thank you. Now, I want to move to elections again. I am glad for some of the statements and actions you have taken. We all know how important voting by mail is usually, and this year even more so. Some states are starting to mail out general election ballots on September 4th, just 2 weeks from today. You and the Postal Service General Counsel have written letters that we've talked about this morning about your plans to deal with election mail. You wrote last week that the Postal Service will, quote, "utilize additional resources and maximize our efforts during the 10 days prior to the election to ensure the processing and delivery of all election mail within our system." Do the letters that you and the General Counsel have sent to Congress so far contain your full plan for ensuring the processing and delivery of all election mail? Or do you have a more detailed operational plan for the additional resources and efforts you alluded to?
The letter that's been sent to the states from General Counsel speaks about, complying mail classifications and how they process.
Right, Mr. DeJoy, I'm just wondering, do you have a detailed plan about how you're going to ensure the kind of delivery that Americans count on for voting by mail? Do you have a more detailed plan than what's in your letter, yes or no?
There are detailed processes that we are going through. And there are going to be expanded plans to that. We've just announced the expanded committee, election committee within the operation, and our board has established one. But there are detailed plans that we go through in every election. And with regard to,
could you share those again? Could you share those with Congress, and could you share them by Sunday night so we can see what they are, please?
I don't think I will have the complete plan by Sunday night. We're just putting these committees together. But I can share you. We can try and. Today's Friday. I have to check, and we'll get back to you.
All right. I would appreciate them by Sunday night if possible. By the end of next week, as I noted, September 4th, some of the ballots are going to start going out. Last year, the Postal Service Inspector General interviewed managers in postal facilities across the country about handling elections. The Inspector General found that facilities typically process political mail as first-class mail, delivering more than 95% of election mail with 1 to 3 days for the 2018 midterms. Yes or no, will you commit to the goal of delivering at least 95% of election mail within 1 to 3 days this year, the same as the Postal Service did in 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Now I want to move on to the issue of the decommissioning of sorting machines. At the Manchester Processing and Distribution Facility in my state, 4 sorting machines have been taken out of service. 3 of them are just sitting there, and I'm told that 1 of them has been dismantled and sold to a company in Pennsylvania for scrap metal. The Manchester facility only has 1 other machine that can do the work of the machine that has been sold for scrap. If that machine fails, like it did yesterday when I was talking to postal workers in my state, sorting stops. and mail is delayed until the machine can be fixed. Although you've suspended the removal of sorting machines, the removed machines in Manchester have yet to be brought back in service or replaced. And you've said today that it isn't necessary to do that, and there aren't any plans to do that. In fact, I understand that the Director of Maintenance Operations, Kevin Couch, sent an email on Tuesday directing local maintenance managers not to reconnect machines. Yes or no, is that true?
I have no idea about that, ma'am. Those maintenance operations still, they're maintenance operations within the districts. This whole process was new to me last week. I'm sure there's logic behind what it is. I can find out about that. I'll be happy to get to.
Okay. So you've already said, though, today that it's not necessary. But look, when we have only one machine that can do a certain kind of sorting in our largest distribution center in the state of New Hampshire, and it breaks and everything has to stop till it gets fixed again, that's not efficient. That delays delivery. And what I would like to get from you is a plan to make sure that you will commit to making sure that postal workers can deliver every piece of mail that comes into the distribution center on the same day it gets in there, which has been the practice in the past. By refusing to restart or replace these machines, you're really sabotaging the Postal Service's ability to sort mail efficiently, and you're undermining postal workers' commitment to that everyday delivery. So will you commit to having your team look into this and get back to me in writing about what the plan is to get at least some of these decommissioned machines back up and running?
Yes. Well, first, Senator, I don't agree with the premise, but I will comply with your request.
Well, thank you. And it would be helpful to get a response by the end of the week. And finally, I will just, because I see that I am running out of time, I will ask a question for the record because there are growing concerns that postal workers are being retaliated against when they speak to their members of Congress or to the press about some of the shortages that they are seeing or some of the delays they're seeing, some of the sabotage and undermining of timely delivery that they are seeing. And I want to make sure that postal workers who are speaking to protect the interests of the American public that they serve with such diligence are not retaliated against for doing so. Can I have your commitment today that they will not be retaliated against for doing so?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Scott.
Sure.